Well, everybody, welcome. How are we all doing today?
Welcome to the application panel featuring 3 people who did not apply.
We're really good at just being demanding of others. I guess we'll start by going down the line and talking about everybody just talk briefly about yourself and what you do on the server, what team you're on. So Honda, go ahead and start us off.
Hi, I'm Honda Gobwap. I am a member of the guest relations team, park experience team, and technicians. I am one of the trainers for the guest relations team, which means that I review applications.
Nice. Zach, what about yourself?
So I am also a member of the technicians team, parks experience, pixel art, and guest relations. I'm also a technician trainer, so like Honda said, I'll look at the technician application, see what we have coming in, and move y'all along.
Perfect. Dispy, go ahead.
Hello, I'm Bluesky, and I'm a part of the Imagineering the Guest Relations team, and I'm also an Imagineer trainer, so I get to see all your builds that you submit over there, and I get to judge them.
Nice. Brian, why are you here?
Brian's not one of us. He's
I
an
brought him
imposter.
How did you finagle your way up here?
He's gone. He's gone. Into the audience.
He's
with you.
sitting comfortably on the stage too. I said Brian, and I was like, wait a second. Alrighty, without any more interruptions, Moore, you want to go ahead?
Hi, so I'm Mo. I'm one of the Imagineer leads. And yeah, same as Dispy, I look at the applications and then together with the trainers, we select on new Imagineers.
Nice. Rachel, you're up.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I'm a member of the guest relations team and the Imagineering team. And I am a trainer for both, so I look at applications for both teams.
Excellent. Josh, go ahead and do a quick intro.
Hello, I'm Josh. I was once the 5th Imagineer manager in under a year. That was a fun time. I don't know if that's an accurate number. It probably isn't. And now I've been doing this for 11 years, so fun times. I don't know what I do because I do everything and I'm part of every department, so...
Yeah, it's relatable. Hi, I'm Darren. I am one of the owners here, and I help with mainly managing and helping with hiring for the Parks Experience team. Ryan,
Teams. They're all individual
yeah.
teams. I'm Ryan. I am also one of the owners. I handle all of the development candidates. I offer a lot of counseling on the technician applicants, and just give some general vibes help to the other departments as well in their hiring.
He's really into achievements right now.
Right now, I'm super into achievements, guys. You wouldn't even believe.
And then Keith, if you want to go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Why did he just jump up over there? What, huh? He was just underneath
Mute
me.
it and unmute it.
Ryan's upset he's on the bottom.
I want to die.
Sorry about that. Anyway,
It's not your
hi.
fault, it's Discord's fault, but...
Hi, I'm Keith. I am part of the Parks Experience team and the audio production trainer. So I do a lot of the audio applications, doing music and audio for the parks and stuff like that.
Perfect. For our, I guess we'll go through and go with each team for what they're looking for. So for our guest relations trainers, do you guys want to talk about briefly what the guest relations team does, and then what you're looking for in bringing new members of the team on?
Sure. And I'll let Rachel fill in all the holes that I know I'll have. So, guest relations team, we mainly do just that. We're always looking to try to make everyone's experience in our server, on our Discord, as positive of one as possible. We want to make it, really feel like you're there in the parks and give you a truly magical experience. Be that doing group rides, playing games, or just, hanging out and talking in chat. And really, because of the fact that those are our primary responsibilities, unlike some of the other teams that you'll hear from, you can't show us a build or, write us a song. So we really look for your character to come across in your application. 90% of what we do is either through text on Discord or through chat on the server. So, while it may seem a bit odd that, the application is a lot of fill in the blanks, there's a good reason for that. And it's because of the fact that that's going to be the main way that you interact with guests. So we really want to see your character and what you're able, to provide. No, Akira, you can't eat my microphone. Come across in those applications. And that's what can really help you stand out from other applicants.
Nice. Rachel, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback through that, I also, personally, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for people that I've also seen attempting to be active in chat and helping start conversations as well already on the server. I also look for what Honda was saying, is your character going to show through your application? I like applications to be, they don't have to be perfect, but I like them to be well thought out. I like to have the intentions there.
Nice. Do my Imagineers want to go next?
Sure. More. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I mean, if you want.
All right. So, for Imagineer applications, compared to guest relations, we really do not see not judge you based on activity. We judge more on the quality of the build you are submitting. So more on the build, it doesn't necessarily have to be one-to-one. It can be anything you've built. Just submit all your builds, compile them, and as much as possible, make sure that we are able to access the links that you are providing to us with your builds, because some of the applications that we do get, we are unable to open the links due to some submitting it on a Google Drive, for example, that we do not have access to, so we need to request access before we are able to see that. And for the most part, we are able to train you here on the server anyway, so we don't necessarily want you to be the best right off the bat, but throughout your Earning My Ears phase, we can train you and hopefully hone your skills so that you can be a better builder and you can adapt to our style, which I must admit, it does take quite a while to get used to.
Nice. More, you want to tack onto that at all?
Yeah, as this we said, literally the first thing when you get an application is scroll over and find the question that has you upload some kind of reference work. And if that is blank or we can't access it, your application is immediately denied. We can't consider it anymore. So please make sure that the links you're uploading are number one links. Copying a file path from an image on your computer doesn't work. We don't have access to your machines. Probably the best way to do it would either be Imgur or a Google Drive link. And for the Google Drive link, please make sure that it's publicly accessible. Sometimes you will request access if it's locked, but I think I've only gotten a reply one time in that case, because I don't think people look into their Gmail accounts that often and see the message that we requested access. And yeah, beyond that, you don't have to have a perfect build or even a huge thing. Even if you just have one building, that might actually be enough to land you an interview or even a test build for us.
I think techs have the same issue of the most important thing is your demo or your showcase in your application, and making sure that it's visible and public to everyone is honestly the most important part.
Yeah,
Zach,
I don't think it can be understated how important like the creative
The
teams
reference.
show. Like the rest of your application can be garbage, but if you have a really good build, you might get a second look. Like,
Yep, pretty much. And yeah, technicians wise, Darren, like Darren said, it is very similar. One of the reasons why I really wanted to open source ShowScript is so people who want to be technicians now have a resource to go in there and play around and try some things out. And they can note on their application that they've done that. So if you're looking to be a technician, if you weren't at my ShowScript panel yesterday, that will be posted to YouTube pretty soon. And give that a watch. Go check out the ShowScript repository on GitHub. I'll put a link in that when I'm done talking, unless someone else beats me to it. And play around with it. Try to make some basic shows. Do some basic things. Like just have text go at the right times. Maybe throw a few fireworks in there. Some other commands of your choice. Do some research as to what other things you can do, and put that on your application. Let us see what you can do. That'll definitely give us a this person took the time to go check out our tool and start it up and try it out. That really bodes well for them. And they had the technical ability to get there without help, right? That's also a big sign. Like sometimes we're happy to give folks a little bit of help uploading things and stuff like that, but generally if you can't work your way around uploading a file to the internet and getting all of that squared away, chances are you're going to need a little bit more hand holding than we're willing to provide. Obviously we'll train you and we'll show you how things work and we'll teach you skills, but there's a basic amount of computer literacy that you definitely need to apply.
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, do you want to add anything onto that for text?
Not really. Can't think of anything to add on, except just when you're filling out the application, pretty much. If you have work that you want to show, like they said, keep it on like a Google Drive. Some people have linked servers they've worked on before. However, if we can't come in and see it and activate it, we'll work to get to schedule with you, but more than likely it won't be able to.
And if you've worked on another server and you're going to say like, I worked on this server, please don't be lying. We know a good portion of the Minecraft theme park community, and if we go and we will go and check receipts. If you say, oh, I worked on Imagine Fun and I did this, like we're friendly with the Imagine Fun leadership. We'll ask them. Well, if I find out if that's true or not. So that's a thing. That's a thing that's happened before. Actually, Darren, I know you have some fun stories regarding that very phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, like we even encounter stuff with like Imagineer applications with people copying like builds from MCParks, and they're like, "Yeah, I built that," and they're like, "Well, no, I built that."
Yeah, like I think the only thing worse for your creative team application than not having images is having stolen images. Like if you're applying for Imagineer and you've just uploaded an image of a thing that Moore built on the server, not a good look.
Yeah, I've had people like just link to my YouTube videos.
Yep, that's definitely happened.
Like, no, that's me. But yeah, so that's Tex. Keith, do you want to talk a little bit about the music and audio team?
Yeah, absolutely. So music and audio production is kind of cool. It's kind of a newer team, ish. So it started out as music production, and we actually added audio to it recently, because what we do is a lot of the music around the parks will help to find and create, but we'll also create a lot of the sound effects that you hear. So for example, sometimes we'll create like soundscapes, such as if you're at the electric water pageant, you'll hear a soundscape that was created by one of our team members. Or we'll create roller coaster sounds. So when you ride Big Thunder Mountain, that is another example of those sounds. And we'll also do a lot of audio editing and cleanup for rides to make sure that we have good quality audio. So as you're riding a ride, you get to experience it from not just a visual, but also that point of view. So we do a lot of stuff around that realm of things. So it's music and audio production. I think if you apply, it's music production, but it's both the same thing. And so what we look for are those who can use different music technology tools to help them to create sounds. So it can be any DAW that you like, such as like some people like to use Pro Tools. Reaper is a big one. But even something like as simple as Audacity, if you have experience using that, that kind of gets you in the door. And so when applying, we look for those who can do all sorts of things, whether it be creating music, because that is something we do, is we need music created, but also can you create sound effects for a realm of the park? Can you create a soundscape that would fit really well in this particular area? Or can you help us to edit some of the audio and some of the rides? For example, we just had someone redo the audio for the People Mover, and they did a really nice job going through cleaning up the audio and making it sound pretty good. So we're looking for all of those things, and you don't have to be an expert at all of them, but just be willing to learn, because we do train you. But the big thing is being able to use computers to create music, create audio, and stuff like that.
But Keith, what if I think the audio production team's work is really cool, but I have no musical ability, and I've never done anything musical in my life?
So that's what's cool, is because it's not just music, it's all audio production. So it's okay to not be a very musical person. It's okay to just have a good sense of sound and be able to say, hey, I think that right here when I'm in Disney, this is the sound that I hear. I would like to hear that sound on this ride. And we'd be like, okay, that's perfect.
Thank you. I was playing a character for everybody to be very, very clear.
I think we got it.
Okay.
It was a fantastic character. Yeah. Big fan.
Job. High fives across the board. So I'll cover a couple of the Parks Experience teams because they are not here. First one is branding. So this is the team that does all of the video content on YouTube, our TikTok content, as well as running our social media channels. So things like Twitter, X, Facebook, and Instagram. When we're bringing people on for that team, we're really looking for, similar to the other creatives, we're looking for a lot of reference material. So have you ever run a social media account? Do you have history creating TikToks? Are you familiar with making YouTube Minecraft content? And really for that one, it's just like, do you know how to use Replay Mod and edit clips together? So those are the main things we look for in branding. I'll also cover for the pixel artists because King isn't here. But with pixel art, they are creating all of the images that you see everywhere on the server. So when you go up to a restaurant and you see the logo of the restaurant created in like a Minecrafty style, that is handmade by one of our pixel artists. So if you're at the stage right now, you'll see that there's all these pieces of artwork everywhere. So like right behind us on the stage, there's the giant apply sign. That is a piece of pixel art that Brennan made, where he went into Photoshop or some other art editing tool and drew out what he wanted that to look like, followed a style guide for MCParks, and then put it on the server. So things we're looking for with that are like some sort of history or knowledge of a photo editing utility, and then just an understanding of what that pixel art style looks like. So when you're applying, the best advice I have is trace a sign or something that's in one of the parks IRL and try recreating those pieces of artwork and then put that forward. And if you have a pretty good baseline, we'll teach you the stuff that's in the weeds of it. I guess I'll also cover for Resource Pack because Mert's away this weekend. But the Resource Pack, if you guys have any fun Resource Pack models on your hands or on your head, or you see us holding these microphones, these are all 3D models that our Resource Pack team makes in Cubic Studio or Blockbench. They start with a cube and then you essentially like mold it like modeling clay, and then we'll design a texture to put on top of it. So when you're applying for that team, we're really looking for some sort of base level understanding of what those modeling softwares are. For the most part, we can teach our style, but if you have those fundamentals down, it'll set you up for success. There's a video that I frequently point to. I will drop it in this channel. It's probably just the most succinct way of learning about 3D modeling in Minecraft. And then Ryan, do you want to talk about developers?
Yeah, developers are a little bit different. A lot of other roles, like we have the ability to train you up from some base level of competency. I'm not. I don't really have time to teach people to code. So if you want to be a developer, I am looking for you to already have a pretty good background in Java programming and like software engineering principles. That's really kind of something that's necessary in order to get your feet wet in our big code base. If you have a passion for learning and a passion for kind of broadening your skills, like I could definitely work with you. And there are examples of folks like Tyler who started with not, like he knew how to make some basic programs, but never worked in a big code base before, had never designed things on quite the scale that we do. And but he's just a really smart guy, really driven, and just all about learning new things. And that's definitely somebody who I can work with. That being said, if you want to help create a lot of the gameplay stuff that we do, the technician team is a great place to start, especially with the newer tools the technician team has at their disposal, like with ShowScript. And that's an excellent way to kind of like get your feet wet with that kind of stuff. And kind of maybe eventually graduate to the point where start onboarding you to the greater dev things. And I'm also very interested in making a new team of cast members that does things like write achievements. That's going to be a new team under the Parks Experience team. Going to be called the Gameplay team. And they're going to do things like writing achievements. And so if you want to do programming of that sort, that's another good way to kind of get your feet wet doing some programming. But yeah, so we're looking for some competency in Java. If you're very comfortable in other languages and you've done more software engineering kinds of things in other languages, that's also definitely fine, as long as picking up a new language won't be too tough for you. But I invite you to apply because we can sit down and have a chat about it anyway, and I can kind of suss out what I think will be best for you. And I'm very happy because I think there's a lot of people who I previously would have said, I don't have enough time to train you to the level that I would need to. That I can now say, well, here, come join the technician team and start there, and then we can kind of revisit this after you've started doing some stuff in the domain space there.
I think it's important to point out that there is a big difference. It's starting to blur a little bit, but between like developer and technician. There's a little bit of confusion in the chat between technician and developer. But like developers do the software for the server, whereas technicians do the effects on the server. And it's a different skill sets, but sort of starting to blend together a little more.
Yeah, I mean, what the technicians do is definitely programming. It's just on a different scale, and there's some more guardrails up for them, and it's in a slightly different domain than writing in our big main code base.
Is there anything anybody?
Did the cylinders die?
Lost Darren. Yeah, Darren. Hello.
Oh, hello. Am I back?
Yeah, I think you said, "Is there anything?" and then cut off.
Is there anything you guys want to talk about more specifically, or should we dive into questions? It seems like Alex Kyle is a little confused about the difference between developer and technician.
I think if we want to go more into where that line is, we can do that.
Sure. So technicians work using a plugin that we have called ShowScript. I put a link to it in chat earlier. I'll put a link to it again. That's a custom plugin of ours that developers built. So developers build the plugins that the server runs, and they give us a bunch of special features like the ability to write shows, like the ability to animate armor stands, the ability to have moving block animations, and then technicians use those tools that developers create to actually create the shows, the scripts in game that we went over in the show script panel yesterday, to actually like make all those things happen. So they're both programming and they're both kind of coding, yes, but it's a different method of doing stuff, and it's not really the same thing.
A technician made Happily Ever After, but a developer put in the tools that the technician used to make Happily Ever After.
Yeah, developers are also the team responsible for making things like the Magic Band and the guide map and the system that makes findables work and the backpack and the system that
Achievements.
parties and the system. Yeah, well, achievements blurs the line because again, likewise with technicians, developers are creating the system to do achievements, and then we're gonna have a different group of cast members who actually write the achievements themselves in a different language. So that's another place where the line's kind of blurred. And achievement and programming new achievements is still programming, but you don't need to be a fully fledged developer in order to do that. But yeah, the system that makes achievements work and daily challenges and all those gameplay features, hotels, yeah, all of that. That's all developers. So that's kind of like what the how the lines are drawn. I hope that clears it up. I know it's confusing, especially as technicians and achievement programmers also do programming on the server, but it's not the same kind of programming. I know that can be confusing if you don't have a technical background, but
or if you don't know, like from an outside perspective, it just sort of looks like it all blurs together. I can see.
Exactly.
Programming through programs that are already made.
Exactly. Yeah. It's almost like there's like binary computer code right at the base level that that processors understand, but then developers made more abstract languages like C and C++ and Java and then Python and then more high level things, and there's different like levels of abstraction. It's kind of like the same deal here. That's not going to clear it up for anyone who's not technical, but I'm sorry.
No.
No, I realized halfway through the metaphor, like, you know what? I have no idea how to explain that to a layperson.
Alrighty, so we'll move on from there. If you guys want to drop some questions in chat, we'll gladly answer a few. 6/3 asked they said that they're definitely interested in the team dynamic of the cast members. Does anybody want to talk a little bit about what it's like working in that team environment? Not all at once.
Apparently not everyone. Okay. If you were at the guest relations panel last night, I think that was a good example. Like we had a lot of jokes going back and forth. We were having fun with that one. Like it really is just like, we work together, but also we have fun. Because it's a hobby for all of us, right? We're volunteers. This is what we do in our spare time. This isn't our job. So it is like working with the team. It can be very fun. I mean, it has its stresses and stuff, as everything does, but I think we have fun with it.
Yeah, absolutely. This next question kind of feeds into that, which is from Blood Rush Ted, which says, how limited are team members to their role? Are there any opportunities for working between disciplines or lateral transitions from one team to another?
Absolutely not. You're stuck in your role for your life. I'm kidding.
Most people up here are trained in a couple different disciplines. If anybody wants to speak more on that, you can.
Yeah, I mean, you usually start out in a single role. I personally started out as the guest relations, and then got really interested in making videos for the server. So I worked on that and bugged and annoyed Darren until he finally agreed that I could, train in that area, and then wanted to help make rides. And the best part is that I can almost do all three at the same time, because I have 3 monitors. No, you're allowed to freely move around and work on what you want to work on. And sometimes, like some of our Imagineers are also technicians. I mean, you have like Moore and Accident, who are, Imagineers, technicians, pixel artists. They can practically open up a ride just by themselves, because they can work on all of it. Yeah, true.
I kind of
You
want to
talk-
piggyback on that because, like, I started as a guest relations and I transitioned over to Imagineering. As an Imagineer, Vec, the tech lead, kind of reached out, like, do you want to learn more through tech to improve upon, like, armor stands? And now I can do train card attachments and armor stand animations. And there's a lot of crossover between that.
I think we're making it sound too easy. There is a process. You can't just like come on as a guest relations because that's an easy thing or a hard thing to get into,
Definitely
and then
not.
move
Yeah.
into Imagineering, right? Like you still, to move from one department and be cross-trained in another, you still have to be as competent in that other department as if you were applying fresh, right? Like you do have to still have a good building skill or technician skill or whatever to go from GR to Imagineer. Like it's applying for there's no easy positions to apply for, but applying for what you perceive to be an easy position in order to move around is not the strategy.
Yeah, I can definitely attest to that. It took me about 6 months for my application to Imagineer actually be accepted. So it was definitely something I had to work towards if I wanted to get it. I didn't apply to be a GR to get into Imagineering. I didn't even know I wanted to be an Imagineer until I was a GR.
Absolutely. And to sort of expand on that last thing for a second, it's really important to us that being hired onto one team doesn't act as a shortcut or a cheat code to getting into some other team, right? So Rachel said that she had been applying for a couple months. This is while being on the team already to be approved as an Imagineer. And so it does take time, but if you put in the work and you're really dedicated and you're putting in an interest in knowing, it certainly will work in your favor.
You do certainly have an advantage of being able to talk more easily with people of the other department and sort of pick up their knowledge. So there is like a little bit of an advantage, but you do still have to be as competent as anyone on that team in order to move into that team.
Lambchop asks, would a good application piece for a resource pack modeling application be merchandise or ride vehicle from the real parks that are not in the server yet?
Yeah.
I think this is just good advice when applying for any of the creative teams. When you submit something that we already have, there will be a very easy comparison for us to look at what you made and then look at what we've made and draw conclusions on your skill based on that. Versus if you build something from Hong Kong Disneyland, or you build a ride, or you model a ride vehicle that we don't have, I don't want to say like it gives you a little bit more of an advantage, but there's nothing for us to directly compare it to. Like we can't look at something and be like, oh, that's worse than what we have denied, because we don't have that thing. And so
if you're really confident, though, it could be better than what we have.
Yeah, it absolutely does go both ways, and it could help. So I don't know. I always suggest steering clear from things that we already have. I mentioned it in the Imagineering application or the Imagineering panel last night. That when you're looking to capture our style, it's a cool idea to try creating something that we already have and then look at ours for comparison and try and think through the design decisions that we made and how you could improve your build or modify your build to more closely be in line with what we have. But that doesn't necessarily mean like use that as your application piece. That's more for building up to the caliber or building to the style that the server is. What is a good application for technician?
I think I'm gonna say you send us a link to a show that you've written using ShowScript 3 syntax that you learned from reading the documentation, and attach a video of it running.
Yeah, let's be honest, the tech application has never been easier now that ShowScript 3 is a publicly available thing. Because before it wasn't, and there was a lot more interpretation on our end as to how good you would be.
I will say the ones that stand out to me the most are the ones of people. And if they go and they apply, either one time you apply and you have completely shown a mastery of the game mechanics, whether it's train cards with Spigot plugins or it's vanilla commands, when we can see the effort you've put into it to get that mastery, those are the applications that truly stand out when I'm looking through them.
You mentioned vanilla commands. I like seeing people who used a lot of vanilla commands to do stuff, because it tells me that you understand the mechanics of Minecraft pretty well. And we do a lot of like screwing around with the mechanics of Minecraft and like really weird hacky things. And so understanding like what vanilla Minecraft is capable of, I think is great. So honestly, like I think a great combo is use ShowScript to make something with vanilla Minecraft commands.
I think Owen's application stood out a lot to me because his was multiple videos, each showing off a different thing. Like he had, I just remember like seeing his application and being like, this guy needs to be on our team. And it was a video of an armor stand moving. It was a video of some particle type animation. And then it was a different video of like a ride vehicle moving around and doing stuff. And I was like, this guy understands the fundamentals. He had also been asking the team, like, hey, what are 3 or 4 things that I should be working on that would look good in an application? And I think sort of that type of initiative really sets you up for success.
6/3 asks, I assume you not only look for experience, but also potential, since volunteering garners raw experience and an interest to get better at those hard and soft skills used. Absolutely. There is, again, like a base level of competency with a lot of these things that we're looking for. The creative ranks, like we need to see that, like, you know, you have a decent like creative eye for building if you're going to be an Imagineer. For technicians, like you've taken the time and effort to try and learn how ShowScript works. But definitely like more, I'm sure you could speak to on the Imagineering side. Like you can see like I wouldn't put that build on the server today, but I can tell that this is a person who's teachable and trainable. I see you say that all the time when you're looking at applications.
Yeah, definitely. Like you don't have to like build like perfectly like we have it on the server, but if we see that you got like the shape of something down, or see that you have a good eye for colors and block palettes and stuff like that, we can always train you to be better in some aspects, or to be more accurate or more one-to-one or closer to our style. But as Ryan said, we need that baseline, and that can be different for some applicants. Maybe some people are great at getting a shape right, but not that good at choosing the right blocks. And other people have like perfect block selection and stuff, and colors are really good, but maybe the build doesn't look as accurate in shape as it could be. And both of those things are something that we can train, and every applicant is unique. And if we see the potential, we will definitely work with you and make you help.
Like we're not teaching you how to build. We're teaching you how to mold your current building into our style. But like if you submit a dirt house, you know, you don't have the basic building skills for us to be able to mold that into something we can work with.
Josh crushing my dreams now.
6/3 also mentioned soft skills. So I think it's a great way to just segue into talking a little bit more about guest relations. In a guest relations application, it's all soft skills, right? It's you answering the questions in, you know, well-written English sentences, you know, that tells us like, okay, this is somebody who can, you know, kind of represent the server to our guests. They show that they understand what's going on the server, and they understand what's happening. more broadly with what our offerings are. They offer some good, kind of insightful answers to things, and just a willingness to be helpful and make it and keep MC Parks the awesome, wholesome, friendly place that it is. And the college program rank, to be clear, is the training rank for guest relations. So if you want to be on the guest relations team, the first thing that you do is you join the college program for a few weeks, and that's when we just kind of go through a little bit of a training period to train you up on our practices and everything before making you a full GR.
And it's the same sort of thing you'll see earning my ears in the different colors. Those are training ranks for those big roles too. Just like the college program is a training rank for the big guest relations role.
Brian Gamer TV asked, where can I ask for help when I'm learning how to use MCParks show script? There is a Discord that is linked in the GitHub repository for show script, so you can go over there and join that Discord, and I'm in there, and I'll answer your question there. Becca wants to know, do application pieces for, in general, do they need to be something that's directly related to a theme park attraction, or can be anything as long as it shows the skill set?
Certainly not required, but it definitely does help. That's area that we all know best. But if you're building an Imagineer application and you have a build from some, distinct building that's like downtown in your local city,
Something easy to look up.
Yeah, like that's easy for us to be like, oh, okay, cool. Like I see the vision. But if it's just something completely out of left field, there's no reference to it or anything, we don't necessarily know what you're going off of, right? A lot of working in the creative teams is just like raw skill and like trainable style, but some of it comes down to just how good are you at translating something from real life into Minecraft, right? Like that is its own skill set.
That being said, Brennan didn't Brennan didn't really have any one-to-one building background, and he in addition to like one little recreation that he made, he was very clear in his application, like, hey, I'm new to this recreation thing, this is my first attempt, but here's other stuff that I've done in building these big landscapes and these other larger scale projects, and that was still useful to us, obviously, and we hired him.
We'll go back now to in yesterday's Imagineer panel where I said when Brennan first started, he was like bottom 3 favorite Imagineers, and eventually worked his way.
And it was bottom 5 yesterday. He's dropped.
It's alright, Darren's telling us how he really feels.
Honestly, me.
No, it was it was a lot of training and feedback that got him to where he was, and so even though like that wasn't his background, he ended up having like this untapped skill for it.
But if you're not building something from a theme park, you should at least aim to build something close. Like building a skyscraper from the New York skyline, like it shows you can build one-to-one, sure, but like skyscrapers don't have a ton of intricate details in them usually. So like pick something.
Big, tall, skinny one? The big, tall, skinny one that's like one apartment wide and goes up.
I hate that building.
That's the worst building in like the world, maybe.
Yes.
I hate.
Now,
apparently, sorry, we're not talking about that building. Apparently, when you use the trash chute in that building, like the whole building shakes.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to live there. But anyway,
it ruins the New York City skyline.
Seriously, I look at that thing. I'm like, that's so ugly.
Yeah, it's literally Jenga.
But anyway, yes. So maybe don't build that thing in your Imagineer application. Now, like the Chrysler Building, the Empire State Building, more like
the I-4 eyesore.
The I-4 eyesore, a building with more stuff going on. I was going for more of a Gothic style. What's the era of architecture called when they were building like the Empire State Building and the Chrysler Building, that kind of Gothic style?
Is it?
It's not Victorian, no.
No, I know it. They have it over by my place too.
But that, like more intricate buildings like that, those can definitely be something. Yeah, if you don't know how to build one-to-one, and you're building something at a different scale, or not a scale at all, that doesn't mean that we're not going to consider your application, but because if it still has like good stylings and you have a good eye for, you know, shaping things and everything, we might still look at it and be like, okay, let's follow up with this person and ask them what their one-to-one background is, and, you know, if they're willing to try it out. You know, link them Darren's article from Planet Minecraft from 10 years ago and give them a chance to kind of prove themselves. But it's definitely helpful if you have done, if not one-to-one, two-scale building in the past.
Also, just a reminder, unrelated, but this whole thing will be posted on YouTube this week. So, like, if you missed the section that you're interested in earlier, don't worry, it's all gonna be there.
Exactly.
For the questions of like, how do you learn how to 3D model, or how do you learn how to make pixel art, the video I linked, when you search like Minecraft 3D model how to, it's like the first thing that pops up. So
yeah,
the resources are pretty widely available. Same thing for pixel art. Just search like how to make pixel art, and it'll at least point you in the right direction.
And it's a good sign when people go out and look for resources and say, oh, I didn't really know anything about this before my application, but I searched for this and I found these resources and I learned from those. If you put that in your application, that shows something amazing to me. That shows that you have a drive to go out and learn things for yourself. You're interested in learning new things. You know how to research things and find stuff. Like, that's amazing if you like say all of that in your application.
The good thing about a lot of the things you could apply for on here is that like pixel art, 3D modeling, video production, like all of that is skills that a lot of people outside of Minecraft have been developing for a while. So there's tons of YouTube tutorials on how to do all of it. So we don't teach you how to do any of it, right? Like, we mold you into how we want you to do it, but there's lots of YouTube tutorials on how to do basically everything.
Yeah.
Except
I think
JavaScript. Only Ryan's panel.
Yeah, but programming based on time codes is not something that I invented. I think there's some confusion about Parks Experience in the chat too. The name Parks Experience is a name that we gave to an umbrella of several teams. Really, we just lumped them into one thing because A, we didn't know how many of them we were going to make and how quickly we were going to be making them, and B, we thought it was going to be too confusing if all of a sudden guests started seeing a million different ranks in chat and didn't know what they were. So we were like, well, like, you know, let's have 4 instead of like 7 or 8 different cast member prefixes. I'm actually, as time goes on, I'm starting to kind of change my mind on that. Maybe we do want to make the prefixes for people what the actual team is that they do.
We don't have enough Minecraft colors.
We just make them all blue, all the light blue still.
Oh,
but,
okay.
But yeah, you know, I'm not sure, but just a thought. But again, like, you know, there there isn't the Parks Experience team. There are several Parks Experience teams that do a bunch of creative things that that aren't building or technician work. It's all arbitrary now. It's been so many years. I feel like we could reconfigure how all these teams are kind of displayed to guests, but that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I was working on the keynote video, and I think there were like 60 names in the Parks Experience section of the credits. And I was like, oh wow, this is like now like the biggest section of cast members.
Yeah, but it's not a section that means anything because it's many different teams, right? Yeah.
It's the biggest section because it's comprised of a bunch of ranks that would all be the smallest section. Or maybe not, actually. How many technicians do we have?
At least a couple.
I think it's important to point out that your application also isn't everything, and especially for guest relations, like, your behavior and reputation within the community also plays a big factor. If you're known to cause trouble, if you're known to, you know, that goes into it. Doesn't mean you won't be hired, but if you're known as being someone who sort of causes trouble and stuff, or whatever, you're not very helpful and you're applying for GR, like your reputation goes a little bit of a ways too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it hard to start learning show scripted Minecraft commands? Go on that journey yourself. Try to find out. I think again, one of the things that we're looking for are people who just like to learn, and are good at just learning new things. So, just try it. Try it out. Try to go see what happens.
I mean, ShowScript was I think it was the first thing I ever kind of coded. I mean, it was ShowScript 2, which is just YAML coding, which isn't. It's faux coding. Ryan might disagree. But
the lines are blurred.
It's very simple, but it was easy enough for me to pick it up. And then ShowScript 3 came out, and it's a lot of the same stuff, just with the ability to do more. But if you want to do the very basic, simple stuff, super easy.
Someone asked, do any teams get paid? No. Everybody who works here, including myself and Darren, we're all volunteers. We all do this because we find enjoyment in it. And we are just big theme park fans, and we want to share our passions for making things and for creating communities with some like-minded folks.
Yeah, absolutely. Somebody followed up with, how does cross-training work? We went over it a little bit earlier, but super high level is everybody on the team has the ability to apply to help on other teams, but they still have the same application requirements. Alrighty. Any final questions before we wrap up?
I did see someone ask how long it takes for a response to get to us. Your response will be inputted into our little spreadsheet instantly, or almost instantly. How long it takes for us to look at it depends on a variety of factors, but we generally say if you haven't heard back within 2 weeks, you can apply again.
Exactly, yeah. Again, everyone here is a volunteer, so sometimes we don't have time to, go through and read applications. And even if we are looking at applications, sometimes we don't have the bandwidth to take you in a call and start training you, right? So
yeah, with school coming up, some CP classes get a little smaller or a little more sparse. It doesn't mean your application was bad. It just means that we don't have the bandwidth to do a CP class.
Yeah, exactly. But that 2-week time is the time that we say, okay, if you don't hear back within 2 weeks, you can reapply.
Absolutely.
Oh, CP class. What is a CP class? That's a good question. So when we bring on new folks to join the college program, what we will do is, instead of just do it one by one, is we will bring a bunch in at once, and we call them a class, and they kind of go through the college program together. They they become friends with each other. There's some
they get to name
there.
Their class.
Exactly.
That's fun.
Yeah. And then ideally, they all start to graduate to the guest relations team around the same time.
It's because we get more guest relations applications than any other. We wouldn't be able to do an Imagineer class because we get 3 good Imagineer applications a month, maybe. But we get a lot of good moldable GR apps, so we can sort of bulk hire them.
Yeah. All right. I think we want to.
Yeah, I think we're wrapping up there. Thank you guys for joining us for the application panel. Join us in an hour and 2 minutes for our Parks Experience Teams panels, where we'll be going through with each of the teams, talking about what they do and a little bit more of a deep dive to what they do outside of the angle of applying for the team and how to get hired, but more so seeing what that translates to on the server. And then after that, at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be having our technician panel talking about how we make all the cool effects on the server work. So we'll see you guys. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the hour break. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Goodbye.